فاعلم أنه لا إله إلا الله.
بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله أما بعد. So, everybody ready? Good?
Yes.
Everybody awake? Very good. When we look at the Arabic language, we have to look at it from the perspective of trying to understand the Quran, trying to understand ahadith, and it's a very important thing to always go back to the Kitab of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So one of the things you will notice in the Quran, you will see, for example, the word, the Lafzul Jalala, the word Allah, that sometimes it will be with a Dhamma. Have you noticed that in the Quran? For example, if you see خلق الله, right? Sometimes you'll find it with a fatha. For example, إنما يخشى الله ها. Here you don't have إنما يخشى الله, but where you have خلق الله, you don't find خلق الله. And sometimes you'll find it with a kasra. لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض لله, right? So why? What's the difference between who, ha, and he? This is a very important concept to understand. Okay? Some of you that are more advanced, inshallah, you already know the concept of i'rab and how it affects the meaning, but I'm going to take you all together through a process that my teacher, Sheikh Dr. Ubaid al-Rahman Muhammad Bashir al-Salafi from Islamabad, may Allah give him a long life and may Allah bless his knowledge, who I think is, to me, one of the greatest scholars of the Arabic language that I've ever sat with. So he explained it in a very beautiful way, and it's a very difficult concept that he made very easy. So I'm going to explain it in the same way, but I'm going to give you a few examples first. I gave you those examples that you find in the Quran. I'll give you also some examples you'll find in what we call the ta'aruf, or the beginning of hadith. You'll find قال Abu Huraira, right? And sometimes you'll find an Abi Huraira, right? And sometimes you'll find Ya Aba Huraira. Now why? Is it Abu Huraira? Is it Abi Huraira? Is it Aba Huraira? These are all correct, and they're all different, and they all affect the meaning. So for example, if I wrote this, without any arrow, I'll do this. Now, I left this blank, and I left this blank. What does this say?
ضرب عثمان زيد.
What does ضرب mean?
To hit.
To hit. Uthman and Zayd. I don't know why we always use Zayd in Arabic grammar classes. For Zayd. Tayyib. Now who, this is to say to hit, right? But who hit who?
Uthman hit Zayd.
We don't know.
You don't know. Who hit who?
We don't know.
So if it was Uthmana Zaydun, then who hit who?
Zayd hit.
No, Uthman hit Zayd.
Everybody all with me here?
Uthman
Alright.
hit Zayd.
means to hit. Uthmana Zaydun. Who hit who?
Osman hit Zayd.
Zayd ibn Uthman.
Osman.
Zayd hit Uthman. Yeah, right. So, if it was Uthmanu Zaydan. Now,
Osman hit Zayd.
that's more like it. Uthman hit Zayd. Right? Now, how did you know that? I didn't change the order. Only thing that changed is what's at the end of these. And it affected it so much that it changed who's getting hit and who's the one hitting. And that tells you with the Quran, you have to be very careful. If you say, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهُ مِنْ عِبَادِهَا الْعُلَمَاء, right? Here, نَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ, you change the meaning to say that Allah, نَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ, feared the ulama. But if you say, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهَا الْعُلَمَاء, now the ulama are the ones that fear Allah. So you see, many times just by changing the u, a, I, you can completely change the meaning from a very beautiful meaning to a meaning that if you understood it, it would be leading to kufr. So that's why it's very important to understand i'rab in the Arabic language. Now, what is i'rab? Before we get deep, I'm going to use what my teacher, Sheikh Abd al-Rahman, used to use, and I'm going to simplify a very difficult concept, but you got to stay with me. Alright? The way i'rab changes a word is a very difficult and deep concept, and it takes a long time usually. But the Shaykh, he came up with a very beautiful way to explain it. The first thing is, what is kalam? We discussed this already. What is kalam? Lafzun murakkabun mufidun lilwada. Right? So, and kalam has three parts. We discussed this already. What are they?
Ism.
Ism,
Ism fi'l.
fi'l, harf. These things you guys should know off the top of your head now. Alright? Ism is mufrad, it's singular, so many would be asma. Fi'l is mufrad, many would be af'al. And harf is mufrad, many would be huruf. So these are the three components that make up all speech in the Arabic language. Everybody got that? We're only going to talk about asma first. Okay? So af'al and huruf we'll discuss later. We're going to talk about asma. Asma, which is the plural for ism, or you can loosely translate it to nouns, but it really means names. And it covers a somewhat different spectrum than nouns in the English language. So I'm going to try to stay away from English language grammar terms so that we don't confuse it later on. So let's just say things that are names, that are not actions and they're not just letters. Okay? They have different states. One is called raf. One is called nasb. One is called jar. When you have raf, which literally means to raise, nasb or jar, these are different states that a word is going to be in. Now what does that mean? What does it mean this word is marfu or mansoob or majroor? Instead of getting into that, I want to teach you a concept which is going to help you understand how it changes. We're going to assign these feelings. Now, this is only to get you to understand this concept. It doesn't mean that they really have feelings, okay? So, like a person, he has different states that he's in, right? Like sometimes if I see Harun and he's really happy, right? What state is he in? A state of being happy. How would you know that? Maybe he's smiling, right? Maybe he's tiptoeing and bouncing his heels together. You know. So there are alamat, there are signs to show that he's happy. Right? Sometimes I may see Yusuf and he looks sad. Right? How would you know he's sad?
All of tears?
Maybe he's crying. I don't know, you man up, bro. Or maybe he's frowning. Or maybe he has some other expression that shows that he's sad. Right? Or I could see Musa and he could be angry. How would I know he's angry? Maybe he has an angry face on. Maybe he's got the Mr. Potato Head angry eyes on, right? Maybe he's got his fists balled up. Those are signs to tell what condition that person is in. Everybody with me? It's important concepts. You gotta stay with me. Like people have feelings, asma have different states they could be in. They could be in a state of rafa, yani being marfu' or mansub or majroor. Right? So, how would you know what state that ism is in? There are alamat, there are signs. Everybody with me? Okay. So, let's say rafa is a sign of being happy, even though that's not really happiness, but we're just giving that idea. And nasb is being sad. And jar is being angry. Right? So in those different states, how would you know? Like a person may be smiling, a person may be grinning, a person may be coming up to you very enthusiastically, and you can tell from that they're happy. But raf, that state of being, and again, being happy or sad or upset, those are only examples to get you to understand that asma and af'al change states of being. Understand? Okay? Don't really think that words get happy and sad, alright? But how would I know that a name is in this state? One of the signs is a dhamma or dhammatain. Right now, we're not going to get into the difference. Later we will. One of the signs of being mansub is a fatha or fathatain. Okay? And one of the signs of being majroor is a kasra or kasratan. What do you say, kasratain or kasratan? Again, depends on the state of being. So it's interesting. As you get further with the Arabic language, all of this becomes technical and important. So, now, for a state of being in marfu', being in a state of rafa', what are some signs that you can tell? Everybody with me? Anybody not with me?
I'm with you.
You good?
I'm good.
How's the cookies?
They're yummy. They're very good.
What are some of the signs for being mansub? Abdul Mateen. Oh wow, you thought I was going to let you snooze in the class? It's not a snoozing class. Fatha. No, I got to make sure the whole class is coming along. If anybody's falling behind, we're stopping and we're making sure. What are signs of something being majroor? Ramit. Kasra or kasratain. Now there are other alamat. We're going to cover all of them. But I'm just introducing you to a concept. Okay? So, now that you understood this so well, Abdul Mateen, if I find a word like this, Ahmadu.
It's a happy feeling.
Happy feeling. Excellent. This means it is in a state of being marfu'. And how do we know that? The dhamma. Tayyib? I'll go back to Zayd because Ahmad is mamnu in a sarf and I don't want to get into all that. If I find Zaydan. Zayd. You're popular. You're going to be very popular in Arabic classes. Alright? What state is Zayd in here? He's mansub. How do you know that? Fathatain. Everybody with me? Umar, you good? Other Umar, you good? Other Umar, you good? How many Umar do you have? Say it. Abdul Rahman, so you can show up.
I'm with you.
If I find Zaydin, what state is he in?
That's a dot.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's a beautiful dot. It's majroor. How did you know that?
Because of the kasratain.
It's a huge dal. It's a beautiful dal.
Really?
It's going to be a great dal. We're going to make this dal great again. Tayyib. Zaydin. So, now you understand the different states of being for asma. And there are three, which are marfu', mansoob, majroor. Right? So, for just our own understanding, like a person is sometimes happy, marfu', sometimes sad, mansoob, sometimes angry, majroor. Just like that, asma change states. But there's a reason, right? Like if I see Harun and he's not happy, which inshallah will never happen because he's always happy, mashallah. There must be some crazy reason for it, man. Right? So, if there is reasons to change states in people, there are reasons to change states in asma. Okay? Everybody with me on that? Good. So, when we talk about marfu'at, marfu'at from marfu', we talked about marfu', right? Marfu'at is jama' of those things that make an ism marfu'. Everybody with me?
Yes.
So what are these things?
Happy face.
They will make asma marfu'. Okay. Now, those of you who are going to be in my class are not going to come out of this saying, oh, we studied Arabic, it was great, oh, and I don't remember anything. You're going to memorize charts, you're going to memorize terminology, you're going to come out of this, inshallah, where if I ask any one of you, what are the marfu'at? You should know them like this. Don't tell me, oh, I studied them, and oh, we did Ajrumiyya, and we did this book, and we did Arabiya Bain Yadik. What are the mansubat? I'll get back to you. What's the point if you studied it and you don't remember it? What's the point if you studied it and you don't understand it? What's the point if you studied it for 20 years but you don't know it? You gotta have your knowledge at the tips of your fingers, at the tips of your tongue, in your brain. That's why our Sheikh Sadiq al-Manna, Dr. Sadiq al-Manna used to say, Al-ilm fi ra'sika, laysa fi kura'sika. Al-ilm is in your head, not in your notepad. Some people write beautiful notes, but they don't remember anything. And then when you ask them if they don't have their notes, they don't remember anything. It's good to take notes. I love taking notes. But when you go home, memorize your notes. Put them to memory. So marfu'at that put an ism in the state of being what? Marfu' are 6. Some of the books mention 7, including tawabi', but tawabi' are not really marfu'at. We'll discuss that inshallah when we get to it. So how many are there? 6. I'm going to give them to you, inshallah, in the next couple of classes, maybe today, depends how much I can push you guys, right? But you're going to memorize them. Even if you don't know how to write Arabic, I'm writing them out for you. Brother Abdul Rahman is here. You can sit down, make this chart, and memorize it. When you're waiting for the bus, write this chart out. When you're waiting for your classes to change, write this out. When your wife is talking to you about what she's going to make for dinner tomorrow, make your chart. Oh, this is being recorded. So, whenever you have an opportunity, don't waste time. I hate it when people tell us, we don't have time, but then you see them watching a stupid football game for 2 hours. Instead of that, write your charts out. So your ilm should stay in your brain. Where you should, if I should be able to ask any of you after this, I'll say, what are the marfu'at? And you should be able to draw them out, write them out, say them out. Inshallah, you will memorize the marfu'at, mansubat, majurat, tawabi', majurat, all of these, inshallah, from your memory, so that it'll be easy for you to remember. So when you sit with the Quran, you'll be able to take ayat apart, inshallah ta'ala. Tayyib. the first of the marfu'at that we're going to cover today is going to be al-mubtada. And with it, al-khabar. طيب. Now, what is al-mubtada and what is al-khabar? For this, I'm going to take a little step back. In the Arabic language, there are 3 types of sentences. And this is one way to break down sentences. There is khabariya, insha'iyya. We're going to get into that later. But one is al-jumla ismiya, al-jumla fi'liya, and then the third should be jumla, we'll get into later, which is not a complete sentence. So in a complete sentence, you can break it out 2 ways. The jumla ismiya and jumla fi'liya. طيب. Al-jumla ismiya begins with what? An ism. You guys are excellent. And jumla fi'liya begins with fi'l. طيب. Al-jumla ismiya must have 2 things. It's obligatory. Must. What are those 2 things? Al-mubtada and al-khabar. It must have a subject and a news about it, something that you have to tell about it. Al-jumla fi'liya must have 2 things as well. What must it have? A fi'l and a fa'il. What does that mean? So if I tell you Uthman, is that kalam?
No.
Why?
It's a name.
Because
It's a name. It's an ism.
Because
it doesn't teach
it
tell you
doesn't
anything.
benefit.
It didn't benefit you any. What about Uthman? If I just tell you Uthman, if it's not mufid, murakkab, then it's not kalam. We discussed what is kalam already. But if I told you Uthman fil masjid, now, what have I told you? What does that mean? Mukarram bhai. If I told you Uthman fil masjid, what does it mean? Excellent, look at your Arabic skills, mashallah. So, if I said Uthman fil masjid, Uthman became what? This became your subject, your mubtada. And fil masjid became what? Your khabar. So you have to have these 2 parts for it to be news. Tayyib? Everybody got it?
What's the definition of al-khabar again?
News.
It's the news.
News.
It's like, okay.
I think in English, the predicate, is that what they call it? But I'm not using English grammar terms because sometimes they don't exactly overlap, and then people get a lot of mistakes. So we're trying to stick to the Arabic.
Uthman fil masjid. Uthman is inside the masjid.
He's in the masjid.
It's in the masjid. Okay.
Yes. Fi can mean in. It's got many meanings. Yes.
Al-mubtada, what does that mean again?
Subject. So al-mubtada is your subject. Al-khabar is what about that subject. Tayyib? Tayyib. Now, if I said قال عثمان. طيب. What does قال mean? To say, said, right? Is that a name or is it an action? It's an action. So what type of sentence would this be? فعلية. Everybody good on that?
Good.
You good? Alright, as long as you're good. Now, when you have an action, can you have an action without an actor?
No.
Can an action happen without somebody doing it?
No.
Yes.
Like what?
Something could be doing it.
Like what?
Something.
Like?
A volcano could be erupting.
Excellent. So, if a volcano is erupting, that volcano is the actor. Can there ever be an action without an actor?
Nope.
No, there cannot. And that's why in the Arabic language, if you have a jumla fi'liya, you must have a fi'l, and if you have a fi'l, you have to have a fa'il. Tayyib. Now, how would we know if something is al-mubtada and al-khabar? One of the signs is that they are marfu'. So, when I write when I tell the truth, right? And I say, Uthmanu al-Jamilu, right? What does it mean?
Man is beautiful.
Go ahead. That's already true, but what does it mean? We already know that to be a fact. That's exactly right. Uthman is handsome. When I'm stating a fact, here, how do I know that this is my subject? Go ahead.
With the elements make it the most like al-Jamil.
You know, I'm okay with that.
We'll have to change it.
No, I think we're okay with that. Yes, it is marfu'. And what is the alam? What is the sign to let you know that this is al-mubtada, this is your subject? Is that there is a dhamma, right? And now this is your news about it. And how do you know it is al-khabar? Because it's marfu'. I know this is easy. Trust me, it will get harder. But I want these concepts to be strong in your mind. So what are the marfu'at? One of them is al-mubtada. One of them is al-khabar. And we've given examples, speaking the truth, here. Right? Now, I'll give you another example. What type of sentence is this? Jumla fi'liya. Where is your fi'l? Where is your fa'il? Uthmanu. And how do you know he is the fa'il? Is because you see the dhamma as the alam of being marfu'. And when it's with a fi'l, then you know this has to be the fa'il. Which brings us to our third. Wow, we've covered already half of all of the marfu'at. Al-fa'il. So what is the sign to know something is the fa'il? Dhamma. One of the signs, because it's in a state of being marfu'. Tayyib. So what have we covered? 3 of them right now. Everybody from memory. From the marfu'at, what are the 3 we've covered? The first one? Oh, that's not everybody. I see a lot of people, but I only hear like 3, 4. Everybody. What is the first of the marfu'at?
مبتدأ.
What is the second?
خبر.
What is the third?
فاعل.
That's better. You guys should know these. Next time, next class, you have to memorize this. This Nahu Dars, inshallah, will not be like one of those that you just kind of sit through. You will walk away knowing the usul of Arabic. Tayyib. These are three. Now, you got the two types of sentences as well, right? And if you didn't, we'll get into them again, don't worry. Tayyib. Now, I don't know why, but we always use these examples. Tayyib. What does it say?
قتل
قتل عثمان.
زين.
Was that a dal?
It is a beautiful dal. A huge dal. We're making dal great again. Alright. So, what does it say?
قتل
قتل
عثمان
عثمان
زين.
زيدا.
Tayyib. Qatala doesn't only mean kill, it could mean fight, dispute with.
Yeah.
So, who is the one who is fighting and who is being beat up?
زيد اسمه
Okay. Sorry. It's not my fault. You can look up the Arabic grammar books, they all have Zayd in it. Tayyib. But how did you know that? No.
Because
This
Zayd
is-
could not beat up Uthman.
Good point. But how did you know that from a linguistic perspective without ever even having seen either one of us?
Because my
You would
mouth
have-
didn't even form that word.
Because the rafa, it is in a state of being marfu'. And that means it is the fa'il. Why couldn't it be the mubtada? Because it's jumla fi'liya. Excellent. Tayyib? Now, when it's jumla fi'liya, you don't have a mubtada and you don't have a khabar. But you have to have a fi'l and a fa'il. Can you... Now this is what's called a maf'ul bihi. We'll get into this later in mansubat. Maf'ul bihi is the one it's being done to. So he's the fighter, he's the one being beat up. Now, do you always have to have a maf'ul bihi, something that in action is done to, or not?
No.
Give me an example of a jumla fi'liya without a maf'ul bihi.
قتل عثمان
Qatala Usman man. You can't say Qatala Usman. Usman fought himself.
زين.
Right? You guys are right, but I want you to think through what you're saying. Tala Shams. The sun rose. Right? Because of the fa'il, which is the Shams. Qama rajul. A man stood up. Right? So any of those where one person is just doing something can have a fa'il, a fi'l, without a maf'ul. So there's two types of jumla fi'liya, and we'll get into this later. One is going to be with a maf'ul bihi, one is going to be where you don't have. Some af'al have to have a maf'ul bihi. Daraba, qatala, those things have to have kataba, right? If you say wrote, there has to be a writer and there has to be something written, right? But in some, you don't. If you say the man stood up, he is the fa'il, standing is the fi'l, but there is no maf'ul bihi. But how would you tell the difference from the a'rab? And that's why it's so important in the Quran, for us to understand who's speaking. If you look at the Bible, one of the problems is you don't really have a'rab. So when I used to study comparative religion, I used to find many times they would have a note under the Bible, a verse, and it would say, not sure if David is addressing or Satan is addressing. Not sure if God is speaking or Satan is speaking. Like, what do you mean? That's a pretty big difference here. You know? And if Christian authors and editors of the Bible don't know who's speaking, we got a problem. But in the Quran, these things are clear. You can tell if Musa alayhi salam and Harun alayhi salam are being spoken to, because then the muthanna, the dual state will be used. You can tell if Musa alayhi salam is speaking or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking, because which one is marfu', which one is the fa'il, and which one is mansub, which one is the maf'ul bihi. You can tell if all of Bin Israel is being addressed, because then it will be jam'a. You can tell if it's only for Musa alayhi salam, because then it will be mufrad. Now, there are many things in the Quran that have to do with tafsir and hadf and balagha. We're not going to get into any of it, because you guys are at beginning level. But you can see already a very important concept. Now, I'm going to drop an even more difficult and important concept than what we're doing right now. طيب. What type of sentence is this?
Yeah.
فعلية? How many say فعلية? Raise your hand. Wow. Even after he changed it, you guys still raised your hands? طيب. How many say اسمية? How many say فعلية? Seriously? I thought you studied now.
Because here there's khalaq, so it's like
Oh, I'm so disappointed right now, man. I'm gonna call your old teachers. خالق isn't a fi'l. This is
it
ism.
can be.
No, خلق is a fi'l. خالق is an ism مشتق من الفعل. This cannot be. First thing, a fi'l cannot have dammatain. This is ism fa'il. We discussed this. This is from asma. Second thing, if this was خلق, it would have to come before. Because jumla fi'liya begins with a fi'l. Jumla ismiya begins with a ism. طيب, so what type of jumla is this? Ismiya. طيب. Where is your mubtada? اسم ذو الجلالة. Your mubtada. It is مرفوع بالدمة. Where is your khabar? How do you know this is your khabar? الضمتين. طيب. Now, here there's a couple of important things to point out. And for the advanced students, let me throw a little trick question / test out. طيب. Dursa, since you're advanced. How do we know this is al-jumla ismiya and not sifa mawsuf? Alright. Amar?
Can you see the question again?
طيب. We said this is jumla ismiya, this is mubtada khabar. Why isn't this just, why don't we say this is just mawsuf and sifa? Because when it's sifa and it's tabi', they have to match in ma'rifa and nakira. If this was Allahu al-Khaliqu, then it would no longer be mubtada khabar. It would be sifa mawsuf. But because this is nakira and this is ma'rifa, this is mubtada and khabar. Sifa has to be tabi' to its mawsuf in being nakira, in being ma'rifa, in its rafa or nasb, in its i'rab, in all of those mudhakkar and muannas and all of those things. It has to be obedient to the mawsuf, to what it's describing.
So
But-
it should be even both ma'rifa or even both nakira?
If that is sifa and mawsuf.
Yeah, if it's
Yes. But this, since this is nakira and this is ma'rifa, then this is mubtada and khabar, not sifa mawsuf. I'm going to ask you this again later in the dars. Dursa, you ready? Tayyib. So right now this is mubtada and khabar. Right? How do you know?
I'm sorry?
How do you know this is mubtada and khabar?
Because you wrote mubtada khabar on the end.
If I wasn't writing mubtada and khabar for you, which I will not be doing next time you're reading Quran, you can look at the alamat. Right? And now how do you know this isn't the khabar and this isn't the mubtada? They're both asma. Khaliq is also ism. Because the order. Regularly, the mubtada will always come first. And the khabar will come later. Now, when you get advanced, you can talk about taqdeem, wa ta'khir, and tawkeed. We're not going there yet. Right now, you're just going to learn the basic rule. The first thing that comes is the subject, the mubtada. Right, Abdul Mateen? You with me? You can't hide. And the second, as long as it's also marfu', is your khabar. Everybody good with this? Yes. Regularly, no, but there are some usul how to break the usul. Right? So, for example, don't go there? Alright, not going there. We'll go there when we need to go there. There are 16 rules to moving things back and forth. Right? But again, I'm teaching you ABCs right now, so don't worry about it. We're gonna get there, inshallah. If you haven't got a headache yet, you will by the end of these series. But inshallah, you will learn Arabic in a way that people with degrees may not know. But you have to be consistent. You have to be steadfast. You have to go home and go over this. If you're just going to come here and yawn and sleep through it, it's not going to benefit you. All right. Now, when we look at this, Allahu khaliqun. This is the regular way for mubtada, khabar, jumla, ismiya. Everybody good with this? Everybody good with this? All right. Now, if I wanted to add some emphasis to this, verily, for sure, indeed, right? I can add inna. What is inna? It has no actual meaning in itself. It's only used for emphasis. Tawqidan. Right? So if I said inna Allah, now my mubtada has to change to ha. Inna Allaha khaliqun. Right? Now, this is interesting, right? Because what is this now? This is still your mubtada. Right? But now, it's got a fatha on it. Because when inna walks into the scene, it takes over. Alright? It takes over the sentence. And what does it do? It makes its mubtada mansoob, and it still keeps its khabar as marfu', which is our fourth from the marfu'at. Khabar inna. Almost messed me up. Tayyib, khabar inna is marfu', but the ism or the mubtada of inna is mansoob. Go ahead.
Is that still Jumla Ismiya?
Still a Jumla Ismiya. Inna and ikhwatiha, we'll discuss later, are huruf. They have no standing on their own. They have to come with something. Right? You can't just say, verily. And that's it. Verily what? So this is inna. You're showing emphasis. Inna Allaha khaliqun. Now, there is inna, and since I used red, let's just say in our bloods. And if there's bloods, there's got to be
Crips.
Crip. Not going to use any bad language here for different gangs, alright? Take it easy. And the Crips here are going to be kana. They are the opposite of inna. So what did inna do? It made its mubtada mansoob. Kana does the opposite. It makes it marfu'. And what did inna do with its khabar? It made it marfu'. Kana makes it mansoob. Right? It gives you the opposite effect. Inna made the mubtada mansoob and the khabar marfu'. Kana makes the mubtada marfu' and the khabar mansoob. Good? Kana does the opposite. Kana, it's a fi'l naqis. Let's just leave it right now at was. Right? Like if you say Kana mudirun fil madrasa, he was the mudir at the madrasa. But it can also represent continuity. Like Kana Allahu ghafir. Yani Allah Kana, Allah, verily Allah was and has been and will be ghafuran, yani forgiving. So kana you can use as was for now. We'll discuss it a little bit more. Kana and ikhwatiha are a whole different, and it's not just inna. Inna has its ikhwat. There's a lot of letters that are going to go underneath that. And it's not just kana, it has ikhwat. Yes. That's a residential list. Tell you. Oh, come on, man. Didn't the first class I say, don't tell me it's hard. Don't tell me any kind of sobbing stories, no crying. Alright?
That, not me.
You gotta get ready.
Some guy back there said that.
When you come into my dars, you're gonna feel some pain.
What if he says he just need to tell you something?
My language wasn't Arabic, so no excuses.
I just need to know the definition. Al-Fa'al is doer,
The fa'il is the doer, the actor.
and the other one?
Khabar,
Khabar.
inna. The khabar that comes after the letter or the harf inna. And then ism kana. When the mubtada of kana is also marfu'. Right? You guys are good with this, right? The ism of kana. When kana comes, the ism that's after it, the mubtada, it's marfu'. Yes, ism kana. Alright? Everybody good with this? This is easy stuff.
I'm good.
You're good? MashaAllah. Let's practice a little bit. Tayyib. Now, yes, you can call me Rajul if you like, man. So, if we talk about Rajul Jamil, Al-Jamil, Tayyib, what type of sentence is this, first off?
Ismiya.
Ismiya. Everybody agree?
Yes.
Any disagreements?
No.
So, what is this?
Marfu'.
It's got nothing right now, but
Mubtada.
it's your mubtada. And what is this? Khabar. Tayyib. So what should this have here? Dhammatain. And what should this have? Dhamma. Excellent. Jumla ismiya, you got that? That's amazing. Trust me, you guys are covering a lot of stuff. This may seem hard, but you guys are actually making great progress. So, this is your subject. Rajulun. What does rajul mean?
Man.
A man. Al-Jamilu, who is handsome. Right? Now this is your mubtada and khabar. This is ma'rifah, this is nakira, so it's not sifa mawsuf. It's not jumla fi'liya, there's no action. Right? Now, you can tell this is the mubtada because it comes first and it's marfu'. You can tell this is the khabar, it comes after that, gives us the news about him, and it's marfu'. Everybody good with this? Farouk, you good?
Yep.
Amar, you good? Abdurrahman, I know you're good. Alright, now I put in here inna. Verily, definitely, for sure. Right? Now inna, when it walks into the scene, it takes over. Now this is inna sentence, it's no longer yours. What does inna want to do with its mubtada? It becomes mansoob. And what does it do with its khabar? Marfu'. Right? So that's what inna does. Right? Now,
We're gonna be like making the Arab for Rajul. We're gonna say على فصله
هو منسوب في محل الرفع.
محل الرفع.
محل الرفع. طيب. Now,
Are
on
you
the
going
other,
to mention inna or not?
What?
You won't mention inna in Arab.
you will mention. Depends how detailed you want to make it Arab. You can say المبتدا اسم إن منسوب في محل الرفع بأثر الإن. You can go very detailed. So,
Last time you put the inner there, you changed it from just the fatha, now you put a fathatain when you put
Fathatain and Fatha, Dammatain and Dammar, don't worry about it right now. We'll get into why that is later, inshallah. Now, if Kana came on the scene, what's Kana going to do?
Change the mubtada.
It's going to do the opposite. What's it going to do? Right? So now, you see the opposite effect because of Kana. Right? That's all you got to do for right now. This is all you have to learn. One more thing and we're done for today. Well, except for the tea and cookies and checking your homeworks.
We have homework?
Oh yeah, every day. Tell you. Tell you. What kind of sentence is this?
فعلية.
Smia.
Who said Ismiya? You said Ismiya. Okay. How many brothers think Ismiya? Just an R. Alright. How many think Fi'liya? Oh, that's a lot. Alright, either everybody is wrong and he's right, or he's right. Or he's wrong. Why would you say Ismiya? What is the first thing?
I didn't read
Oh, you didn't read the first letter. Alright. Does that work when you're giving your engineering exams? I didn't read the first part of the tell you. Kataba Allahu as-siyama. Right? So what does this mean? Abdul Mateen, Kataba. To write or enjoin or to make obligatory, farada, as we find in the tafsir in the Quran. Right? What does it mean? That has made obligatory. So this is a fi'l. Everybody agree? This is a fi'l. So that means this is a jumla fi'liya. Now, who is your fa'il? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as the ism dhul jalala shows, al-fa'il. And what is being made obligatory upon you? The fasting. So this is your maf'ul bihi. And you know that because it is?
Is it as-siyama or as-siyama?
Siyam? What do you mean?
The swad has a fatha or a kasra?
It's a kasra.
As-siyam.
Is it supposed to have a fatha?
As-siyam?
As-siyama. Should the sound have a kasra or fatha?
Kasra.
It's a kasra.
It's a kasra.
It should be a kasra, right?
Yes. It is a kasra.
It is a kasra.
So when you write in this way,
I see.
if the line is under the shadda, that means kasra. If the line is on top of the shadda, that means fatha. And you will find that in the mushaf as well. I could have put it underneath the sad as well, but you will find this way of writing. So if you have a shadda, you should see if it's above or underneath. Tayyib. So now when you look at this, there is a fi'l, a fa'il, and a maf'ul bihi. Right?
Yes.
But if you know the Quran, and you know the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordained fasting on us, how does the ayah go? For my huffaz in the house, Abdul Qadir. Is it kataba Allah wa siyam or is it kutiba alaykum as-siyam? Kutiba. Kutiba alaykum as-siyam. So, here, if we write that, Now, this has thrown me off a little bit. Why? Explain this sentence to me now. Is it jumla fi'liya, ismiya?
Yeah.
Told you we're going to get into fun stuff today. It's fi'liya? Who thinks it's fi'liya? Raise your hands. Oh, man. Who thinks it's ismiya? Oh, most of you you don't think either one. Alright. Kutiba alaykum as-siyam. Those of you who say this is fi'liya, where's your fi'l? Kutiba. Where's your fa'il?
File is my
The فعل is actually كتب. I mean,
Okay.
الفاعل.
You don't
الفاعل.
have to make them because
Now what?
There.
That's your file? Fasting is your file?
Because the Dhamma, this is نائب.
Hey. No going advance. Anat.
because it's an order comes from Allah, right?
Okay.
It's we know from Allah is a file.
Okay.
It's hidden.
But your maf'ul bihi, why did it get a dhamma?
To show it's a person, to show it goes to someone,
What?
to show that it goes to a receiver.
Nope. So, think of it this way. When we said kataba Allahu as-siyam, then you have to say siyama because maf'ul bihi. But here, this is one of the ways of writing. And as Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen says, when we talk about it with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we don't say the fa'il is majhul because we know it's Allah. We can say it's mahdoof. We made hadf of it. We've hidden it. Why? Because this is a very beautiful thing. As Brother Anar was pointing out earlier, when we talk about something being made obligatory, who's the only one that has that haqq? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam makes something obligatory, it's only with the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, in the Arabic language, there is a beautiful method of explaining. And this is what they use for what's called balagha. Eloquence in speech. Instead of saying kataba Allahu, there was a lesson to teach that nobody else can legislate. So, the word of Dhul Jalala, Allah, has been hidden from here to let you know that if we say that it was obligated, you know only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can do it. So who's your fa'il? Still Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But because it's hidden, we change the way we wrote the fi'l. You notice that? It's not kataba, it's kutiba. So when you have qutila, kutiba, khuliqa, when you have that way of writing, then you know the file is going to be hidden. You get it? And you know that what is the maf'ul bihi will now be marfu' as a naib an al-fa'il, as a representative of the fa'il. You get it? You get it or no?
Yes.
This is your maf'ul bihi still. Siyam is still maf'ul bihi. But it's marfu' because it is a naib. It is standing in the place of the fa'il.
If I missed it, what's
Maf'ul bihi is what's being done to. It's mansub, right? But here it's going to become marfu' as a naib an al-fa'il. Now, I'm just throwing these concepts out. We're going to make a'rab of ayat. We're going to go over them again and again and again until they sit in your mind. So if you think this is too much for you, don't worry about it. Just keep coming to class. As long as you have istiqamah, steadfastness in coming, inshallah the rest is my responsibility. But if you don't come, then don't blame me and don't complain. Alright? Now, the last thing from the marfu'at is what we just discussed, which is na'ib an al-fa'il. The representative of the actor. Right? Now this was originally maf'ul bihi, but it became marfu' because it is the naib an al-fa'il. Everybody get it?
Yes.
Okay. This is all we're going to do today. Okay? Marfu'at, yeah. Alright, let's do all the mansubat and majrurat. Come on, who's ready? Say
I'm
it.
ready.
The 6 marfu'at that you're gonna memorize for next class. Al-Mubtada.
The last one that you said, the 7, that's
Tawabi' we're not gonna discuss here because they're not really marfu'at. Some of the
You said
books,
6 and there's the 7.
but the 7th I don't agree with.
Oh, yeah.
Many books they mention tawabi'. But tawabi' don't really make something rafa. They actually only follow. So to me this is not the place for tawabi'. There's only 6 in reality. Al-Mubtada, Al-Khabar, Al-Fa'il, Khabar Inna, Ism Kana, and Naib al-Fa'il.
And the
These
last one
6,
The last one, what's the definition again?
this is the representative of the or upon the actor. When you're gonna hide or make hadf of the fa'il, then the maf'ul bihi becomes the naib and al-fa'il and becomes marfu'. So these 6, if you can memorize these, then anything in the Quran, in the hadith that is marfu', you can know what it is. You see, this is going to be very instrumental towards you better understanding the Quran. And we're going to hit this in the class. We're going to write out ayat, we're going to write out meanings. First, I'm just introducing you the concepts. But once I've introduced the concepts, I'm going to then go over ayat and show them to you in that sense, yarhamakallah, enough that those concepts will sit in your mind through the Quran. Everybody get it? So, now, these 6 you should all have memorized by next class, insha'Allah.
إلا تنصروه فقد نصره الله